What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Asian Menswear Podcast. Mike, your host, and I am back with my co-host, Leo. What's going on, Leo? I know we haven't spoken in about 2 to 3 weeks now. He's been traveling. How's it going?
Yeah, great, man. It's been a while. This time of the year goes by so fast. So we were last chatting it up right before Thanksgiving, and then next thing you know, now we're like right before Christmas. So
I know, Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
Man.
It's always like that with the holidays and visiting family parties and all that. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure the next time that we have a conversation, we're probably going to be in 2022, getting ready for all
it's
that.
It's gonna go by quick.
Yeah, but glad to be able to link up today to talk about a few things. So this is, I guess it's not a new format, but it's still going to be Barbershop Talk. But it's going to have, it's going to be like a new format for Barbershop Talk where I basically bring up different topics or like current events that seem relevant or seem interesting to us. So, things you would just speak about in a barbershop. And we have 3 topics. And the topics are going to be on Virgil, which is something that Leo wanted to talk about, the passing of Virgil Abloh. And then topic 2 will be about Simu winning People's Choice Award for Best Action Movie Star, as well as the Shang-Chi sequel happening. And then the third topic is something I wanted to talk about, which is the Metaverse and how we feel about, companies investing in this new technology, basically, and how it's going to affect us in the future. So I know Leo hasn't spent too much time into this. I haven't either, but, this is the point of Barbershop Talk, where we're just kind of going into it as if this is the first time we're hearing about it and kind of giving our perspectives and hopefully you guys can follow along as well. So that's going to be today's episode, 3 different topics. And we'll go ahead and start with the first one, which is Virgil Abloh. He passed away after a long private battle with heart cancer at the age of 41. If you guys don't know who he is, he was an American fashion designer and entrepreneur. He was the artistic director of Louis Vuitton's menswear collection beginning in 2018 and was given increased creative responsibilities across the LVMH brand in early 2017. Abloh was also the chief executive officer of the Milan-based label Off-White, a fashion house he founded in 2013. So this is a topic that apparently, it was pretty impactful for you, Leo. So I'm going to let you go ahead and basically, educate me a little bit about Virgil. I guess the impact
for sure.
And how that affected you.
Yeah, so I mean, like that news just came out of nowhere recently. And I just remember look on my Instagram, out of nowhere, this post came up and it's one of those what the heck? And then next thing you know, you kind of just saw it take over all over social media. Like all these channels were talking about, all these celebrities were posting about it. And then you kind of realize what a big impact Virgil really had in the fashion world, but also in pop culture, into today's world, what a big deal he actually was. But yeah, for you guys that didn't know, man, where do I begin? Because then I've always been really inspired by his work, just because I think if you really understand and know who he was and where he came from, you would get that as well. But basically, long story short, Virgil, his parents were immigrants from Ghana. And he actually studied in civil engineering, and he had a master's in architecture. So that's what his background was. But in his circle in Illinois, in the Chicago area, he started to get into fashion just as a side hustle thing. And that's really how he kind of got started, because he was hanging out with Kanye when he was starting out. And he was hanging out with Kanye, Don C, another designer. And it was cool to see this close.
Hey, Leo, 1 second.
I
can't hear you again. Maybe it's still recording, but let me just put my headphones on. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Ran into some technical difficulties. I couldn't hear Leo speaking, but we are good. We are good now.
So where should I pick back up?
I think you were... Let's just start with his background a little bit. After, we talked about his his background with schooling, architecture.
Yeah.
Go from there.
Yeah, so his start in fashion is because he was able to link up with Kanye and Don C, another designer, early on. It was interesting. If you look up in the past, it's just they look like just bloggers going to fashion events, because they were just interesting in it. And he was kind of in the early stage working with Kanye. So it's really interesting story how, like, as he was rising up, Virgil also rised up. Virgil designed merch for Kanye. And that's kind of how he got started. And it's just really cool to see how he got his start in fashion, because he was literally just making his own clothes at home. And then that got popular. And then that got popular enough to the point he started his own brand, Off-White. And the brand Off-White itself, he used a lot of design from interior design. So he used things from architecture world in his design. So I thought that was really refreshing that he different outside world into the fashion world. And of course, that led to his whole collaboration with Nike and Jordan, which that's a whole thing where it really changed the sneaker industry, because, you know, Jordans and Nikes have been kind of like the classics for what, like since the 80s. But he was able to make something so completely new and different. And that really changed the collaboration world. It changed the fashion world. It changed the streetwear world in what he was doing with that. And that's how then he has such a big impact in sneakers and streetwear that's how he got into Louis Vuitton. And it wasn't just he was a designer at Louis Vuitton. He was the first Black designer at Louis Vuitton. So imagine, you know, you're thinking about race and you're thinking about community and you're thinking about inspiring the younger generation. He is amazing, like somehow as a genius, you know, from architecture to fashion, and not just doing fashion for fun, but it's like he literally went to the highest level of fashion as a designer for Louis Vuitton. So that's really incredible. And that's why I'm just really inspired by his story. And he gives back to his community. He gives back a lot to Chicago. He had a whole exhibit at the museum showing like artwork about race and community and things like that as well. So I think like the big picture stuff is just inspiring to see how someone by the age of 41 was able to do all of this. And as a Black man, and as someone who comes from an immigrant family, and as someone who studied architecture but then went to fashion, you know, it's just like all these elements that I can relate to. And at the end of the day, it's just like, you don't know how much time you have left on earth. Like you just don't know. Like life could be so short. So it's really a matter of what you do with your life that matters. Like don't assume you have until 65, 85 to live, you know, like you just never know. And his story to me is very similar to like Chadwick Boswick. You know, it's like taking advantage of how much time they have and like do the best they can in their industry. So I think that's why like all these things is why his passing was a much bigger deal than, you know, just like it wasn't just like someone else. I think he was he had one of the most amazing design, like fashion and impactful careers in our generation, if not in history.
Crazy, because Chadwick Boseman, he passed away at 43. So this like 40 numbers. Wasn't that Kobe too?
Yeah, I think Kobe was like 40 or 42.
Like 42 or something, right? Damn.
Yeah.
So like
these have been kind of back to back to back. You know, it's like we're talking Kobe in 2020. And then Chadwick was kind of later on. Chadwick was like the end of 2020, and then now almost like a year later is Virgil in 2021, and that's
3 prominent figures.
You know, yeah, and we're talking about Black men who are arguably the best in their field. So it's like insane, right? Like,
I didn't think about that. Fashion in entertainment or film, and then you sports. Have in sports. Wow.
Yeah. And probably some of the most influential, you know, race or not, you know, just some of the most influential, some of the best people in their work in history. So it's just, it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
How do you feel about it? It makes me bring up like how the reason why this comes out of nowhere for, you know, the people when they receive the information that these guys pass away, that they were fighting cancer privately, you know, and I guess my question is, I understand like going private with that sort of thing, but I wonder how it would have been if these things were made public, you know, before they pass away. It gives people a chance to kind of, I guess, appreciate them before they're gone.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Chadwick. Cause I'm 100% sure that these guys probably felt like they were going to beat it. You know, like I think Chadwick was even like kind of, you know, he was, insinuating that he was going to have this beat while he was doing all these things, and unfortunately that didn't happen. So it's interesting that, you know, it's unfortunate that they battle this alone and then they don't make it out.
It is pretty crazy, but I guess in a way it's a good transition into like the Asian community. But like I know in the Asian community, if someone has an illness or cancer, it's not something you want to share. You don't want to share that publicly. So I can understand how someone that's even more of a public figure don't want to share that. But I totally get it too. It's like, I don't know. It's a tough conversation, right? Because it's like you don't know how much time you have. You're trying to beat this thing, but I could also see in the way of like the Asian families, because I'm sure they do that as well. Like they don't want other people to know. Like they might feel like it's shameful. They might feel like they don't want people to worry. You know,
or like treat them like with special treatment and feel bad for them, give them pity. I can see that. I'm just imagining how hard it was for him to do all these things. Same with Chadwick, to you know, have all these projects and then deal with this thing such as cancer, where for his thing, like he knew this is a rare form of heart cancer. You know what I mean? Like how scary is that, right?
Yeah, because like Chadwick, if you look at like the recent, like the interviews before he passed, all that people were saying like, "Yo, he looks really skinny. He looks like he's falling asleep during the interviews,
and they're roasting him.
He doesn't really have energy." Yeah, and like people didn't know any better. But like with Virgil, I was thinking like he's not as public facing as someone like Chadwick, because he doesn't have to do all these press interviews. Like he's a lot of behind the scenes where he's actually designing and doing the work, creating content and things like that. So to like, I never saw anything that would have indicated that he might have, you know, been a little sick or anything like that. So it's crazy. It's so last minute. And like I said, like when you really understand what he's done, how he's done it, and the impact he's had, it's pretty incredible. And then considering all those things I mentioned, it's like, damn, like I wish I had a career like him with that kind of upbringing and all that stuff. It's very inspiring. Like I wish we have a Virgil like that in the Asian community.
Oh yeah, that there's a spot for that, you know, in the future. I looked up a picture of him, like one of his final pictures, I guess, and he does look like he's lost some weight, just from the pictures I'm looking at.
Yeah,
bam, that's crazy to see that. And obviously, you know, fashion and brands it's pretty big in the Asian community, you know, like you for yourself. And so it's very interesting to, I guess the lesson here is like, you know, at the end of the day, even the guys who are at the pinnacle, they're not safe from cancer.
You never know. You never know what's really going on. Yeah.
Yeah. So live your best life, treat people well, man. And hopefully when the time for you to go is there's no regrets, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Started off on a sad note. But I really think we should all be inspired by him. That's what I really want to take away. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. All right, let's jump into the next topic. So a bit more uplifting, but Simu Liu recently won the award, People's Choice Award for Best Action Movie Star, in where he beat out Chris Pratt, Daniel Craig, John Cena. I don't know, John Cena's in there. Vin Diesel, Scarlett Johansson, just to name a few. And, you know, and when he took the stage, he said something at the end, which was, I think, for a lot of Asian Americans, people can relate with. But he was basically talking about like giving yourself permission. And what he means by that is, let's see, he went to school for finance and accounting. I know Leo can relate to that. And it was because I didn't have the courage inside me to give myself the permission to pursue what I truly wanted, said Liu at the American Awards show on Tuesday. So whatever that means for you guys, it all starts with permission to yourself. So him giving himself permission to pursue acting, and then look at him now. I mean, he's on the world stage. I mean, he's shaking hands with The Rock. What's the guy that he was like super excited to sit next to from Loki?
Was it?
But what's his
Tom
real
Hiddleston?
name? Yeah,
Hiddleston. Yeah,
Hiddleston. Yeah. So pretty cool. I mean, seeing up on that stage, I'm thankful that he's well-spoken and he definitely delivered a pretty inspiring message. But it's happening, you know, representation on the main stage. Like, it's pretty incredible that we're here now and we get to see that. And in other news, Shang-Chi is getting a sequel now. It's confirmed.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, prepare to see more of Simu. And I don't know. Well, how do you feel about it? I mean, obviously, like we're getting more and more of like first timers of seeing Asian men in the spotlight.
It's like that SNL skit that he did. That was really good. The one where he was like, "I'm the first Asian to do this. I'm the first Asian to do that." So I think that is kind of like the running joke of everything now. Is kind of like, because there's so little Asian representation,
he's going to be the first.
A lot of things he's going to be doing is going to be the first Asian to do a lot. Is he the first Asian to have a sequel? You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like the joke. You know what I mean? Like, but it's cool. It's finally like great. Like, you know, the People's Choice Award is like a kids kind of show or no? Like it looked like a lot of teenagers, but I thought it's like a kids kind of award show.
Yeah.
But it's at the end of the day, it's like that's one again. No matter who it is, what it is one more Asian than before, and I like his speech. Like it's inspiring, and that's when you're inspiring not just Asian kids. I think that's the bigger goal. Like if you talk about equality and diversity, he doesn't have to just inspire Asian kids. But I think it's great. Like he's on there. The more we see him, the better, because that's just changing things up, breaking stereotypes, and of course it's cool to see him next to The Rock, next to other
this
big
Asian
movie stars that's been
holding,
around.
That's holding his own. It's not just like a fan.
Yeah.
Like he's holding his own. Well, obviously The Rock is like ultra superstar, but for him to he does it doesn't feel weird that he's there. Like he's supposed to be there, you know?
Right. And it's cool. Like it's like he's earned his place. He fits in there with standing next to them, and it's not weird, you know. And it's like, yeah, that's what it should be. That's literally what representation is, and that's the right way, right? Like it's easy to have bad representation and not be in the same room and not win awards, and only have the side supporting cast and not the main lead. So everything is going great. So it's cool to see more and more of that. And of course, getting the sequels, like, I mean, yeah, we know it's going to happen, but it's cool to hear that announcement so soon. And so that's awesome.
Yeah, and apparently he was saying that he tweeted this, but he said, "Flop so hard, we got a sequel." So I guess apparently people were saying like it wasn't going to get a sequel or something was going on.
YouTube for months before the movie came out was just saying this movie is going to flop. And, like there's a lot of YouTube channels that are just big trolls. Like they purposely make certain videos for certain highlights to create the views. But it was like literally like months before the movie even came out, and they're like, Shang-Chi's gonna flop. And it's like, how? You haven't even seen the movie.
Yeah.
And I think everyone just assuming because it's Asian or because it's during the pandemic, like all these reasons, they make all these random videos that are just about the movie flopping. So it's like, I love to see Simu is able to play along and like, get back at them in these casual ways on Twitter.
He's known to do that too. And the cool thing is, why was he in New York? Oh, he was there for SNL, and then you got to actually hoop with him. Want to share that story? Yeah. You actually got to hoop with him and Ronnie Chang and the Fong Bros.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, he was in town for SNL, which he did a great job, and that was really cool again to see another Asian guy on TV. But I became friends with one of his closest friends, Chris Kim. He went to his like red carpet premiere. Like they have like their really close friend group where they play video games and they're like having dinners all the time. So anyway, he was also in town for SNL. I think like his closest friends also flew out to New York just for that special moment. So that's awesome. And yeah, I was friends with Chris. I was like, hey, like, let's meet up, let's hang out. And he was like, all right, well, we're playing basketball. Of course, like Asians and playing basketball is like, it's like 2 and 2. It's like, I don't even try to ask Asians to go hang out and get a coffee anymore. It's like, all right, let's play basketball. Apparently, that's actually how I first met the Fun Bros, and that's actually how I met Chris as well. So it's only fitting that we're playing basketball. But yeah, Simu was there, Fun Bros were there, and then this other guy, Nelly Chan, like he's also like a big YouTuber, but he like played basketball.
He's an athlete.
He was there, so it's just really cool to meet all these Asian creators. There was also Steven Lim. He's had like
he's pretty big on YouTube. He's like a media
Try Guy or like the Try It series on YouTube.
Yeah, BuzzFeed. Yep.
Yeah, and then man, this other guy from Jubilee Media, he was there. So it was such a cool community feeling and something that I've been really lacking and missing since maybe my like high school years. So it's cool to literally just have a gym full of Asians and everyone is so nice to each other because, you know, we're Asians. Like we stick together and we're just playing basketball. We're having fun. We're meeting each other. So it's just like, it was just like a really nice community. And it was fun. It was really fun to play with all. And yeah, of course, like you mentioned Ronnie, he was also there. He was also funny.
Yeah.
So
how's
really
the
good
basketball
time.
skills? Who's good? Who was?
Hey, listen. Let's just
Spill
say
it,
I held
spill
my
it.
own. Let's just say I held my own,
How'd you guys play?
and I had some moments. Oh yeah, we're playing man. For some reason, the other team that we kept playing against, because we kept like mixing up the teams and stuff. For some reason, the other team always had like a height advantage. But there, let's just say, long story short, I had some really fun moments guarding Simu. He was guarding me, and we kind of we scored on each other quite a few times, and it was cool because we're kind of like the same size, same height, and similar build, I would say. Yeah. So it's kind of cool having like a little Shang-Chi dragon on dragon moment. Even the Fun Bros were getting so hyped and like yelling. But it was just so fun, you know? And, you know, and like I said, like half these guys I never met before. So to be able to just get on the court, have a fun, friendly competition basketball game and, you know, right away, you know, high-fiving, great energy, you know, cheering each other on, like, it was a great time. Actually, Nelson has the video on YouTube, so if you want to watch some of the highlights,
I want to watch that. Right, cool. That's
Don't watch it
cool,
now,
man.
baby. But yeah, it was a good time, and like that's the kind of stuff I'm sure they're missing that as well, and I'm missing as well. But I think that's the kind of community that we should be having more often. It doesn't have to be YouTubers and creatives. I hope this inspired you guys to also just have a community of your own wherever you guys are to have the hobby, right? Basketball, whatever it is, to have these moments together. So that was really, really nice.
I mean, like, how often is that going to even happen, you know, like to have everyone in one place?
Well, especially half those guys were from LA. So, you know, and half these guys were in New York and they're just getting the chance to play together. Yeah. There were also the guys from the one guy from Boba Guys and then the one guy from Sanzo, which is the sparkling drink. So shout out to all those guys. They were there as well. They're all good friends with Fun Bros and Simu. And, you know, like I said, it's just so cool, you know, spend a few hours playing and all of a sudden it's networking as well, right? Like now you're meeting all these guys and building relationships.
Dope. Yeah, that's pretty. When you were telling me, you showed me pictures, I was like, what?
Yeah, I don't know. Cool. I just sent you the photo, like me and Simu after playing basketball were like all sweaty. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, I don't know why the volume is a little lower. Can you say something?
Yeah, what's up?
Okay, you're back. All right. Yeah, congrats to Simu. Congrats to the entire Shang-Chi production team, directors. I think he's been given the reins for the part 2, and then a spinoff of. I think so, and I think, you know, like based off of the end credits from Shang-Chi, it's where his sister takes over the 10 rings. I think they're gonna make a spinoff show for that. So obviously more representation. Awesome. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, well, let's just go ahead and move on. So yeah, this topic right here is my topic, and I want to get your opinion on it and your perspective. But basically, the metaverse, you know, with Facebook changing their name from Facebook.com to Meta.com, and if you guys, you know, don't know what that is, it's basically, you know, it's the virtual world, you know, it's where NFTs and cryptocurrency and all these different things come into play about where the future is headed towards. And I wanted to kind of talk about it. Obviously, I'm not like super knowledgeable in it. I'm just coming from an average person hearing about these things. But I do see it taking off. And I do believe that this is the future, just based off of what we're doing as a society today, where we're always on our phones anyways. We're playing games, you know, especially if you come from a gamer background, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. You know? You're using real money to buy like skins or weapons to upgrade your character. I haven't played in a long time, but I understand how it works. I used to play Sims when I was very young. But the metaverse is coming, and I just wanted to get an idea of how you feel about it and how potentially it's going to integrate into our everyday lives, from like fashion, from work, like where work from home's happening, and they have virtual conference rooms where you can log into it and you can have a meeting directly from the comfort of your home in your own avatar. I mean, it's coming. And how do you feel about it?
Well, good thing you mentioned gaming, because I think like a lot of my trying to understand it is from my experience playing video games. I still play video games, nowadays. So I understand that, because I've definitely spent money in video games, and especially video games in the recent years has a lot of like you have to spend money within the game, because a lot of times you have to unlock new content. You have to, like to get to a certain level, unless you want to spend thousands of hours, whatever, to get these certain things, or you can spend $5 and you get this special thing.
So you cut the line. Okay.
So, yeah. So a lot of these upgrades. So I completely understand it. And I think that's the good elementary level to understand it, because like I spend money because it gave me value or because it gave me shortcut. So it made sense, but it's all purely entertainment, because I can't sell it otherwise. So it's not really worth anything outside of the video. And I mean, obviously, like I am on all these social media things, and I actually do have an Oculus, the whole thing.
How is the technology now? I haven't seen the latest. Like,
it's good. It's great. I mean, like there's like the Beat Saber games. There is a workout that you can do within it, and it could transform you into a different world. You can go to YouTube and watch a whole VR video where you're like in Petra, Jordan. You can travel the world.
Oh, wow.
So it could look like, you can literally put on a VR and it feels like you're in a helicopter in Hawaii, right? It can do that. But in terms of the metaverse, the basic elementary things that they did mention, the whole calling thing, I completely get that, because I can see how, seeing someone face to face versus just FaceTime.
Yep.
That does make sense. But then I'm interested in how technology is, because that means you can also need a camera to scan your whole body.
Or something like that.
A lot of the VR right now, you're just consuming content. But if you're doing a call, that means you need a video to capture yourself to be in it. I get where it's going. And, if you look at Facebook, 10, 15 years ago, you would have been like, what the hell is stories, right? Like, what the hell is Instagram and videos? Like, we didn't have any of that 15 years ago. So it's very, very innovative. I don't know how quick the technology is going in that way, but it is a little concerning, though.
That's what I was going to, because I mean, there's tons of companies already basically predicting that this is going to be the future, like multi-trillion-dollar industry. We have Nike already filing patents for, or trademarks for, like, let me see,
sneakers.
As part of the application, the company indicated its intent to make and sell virtual branded sneakers and apparel. And they basically already created like this thing called the Nike Land on the Roblox platform, where it allows their players to outfit their avatars with like special Nike products. So just imagine like you log into this world, right? And then you're walking around, but you can't have access to Nikes unless you actually buy it from Nike.
Right.
That's why that's a trademark, right? So if you spend a lot of your time in this land, it's going to be the same as when you're walking on the streets, people who want to show that they had the flex. I mean, people are buying digital property out there for like $2-something million.
Have
you heard about that? I mean, like it's like art, like NFTs and stuff. Like those are all tying. Like it's incredible. Like again, a lot of fashion brands are already starting to dive into it, and
I completely understand as a company with a trademark perspective, because next thing you know, you don't want to log into Metaverse and like you can't even sell your own thing. So I get in that perspective. The NFT, I understand it more in the supply and demand. Like if there's a market for it, if people are buying and selling it, and there's a way to make money, I think that makes sense. But the whole Metaverse idea, I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's like, but it's also like, like why, how, what's the point? Like, I just don't even know where to begin, because that also means that you're going to have to spend a lot of time
in there
in that world. And that doesn't look healthy, doesn't sound healthy from
absolutely
even this outside perspective. there's too many movies like The Matrix and what's that one movie that's like the kids movie?
Have you seen
Wall-E?
Oh yeah,
like
oh yeah,
all the humans are just
example.
sitting there and eating and like being on their computers. Like, I don't want to get to that level but the whole funny thing is the name changes literally playing on like the metaverse. Like they Facebook changed the meta because the metaverse. It's like,
yeah, that's the buzzword.
How ironic and how weird is that? So I don't know. I mean, but it also feels like a lottery thing where it's like, because everyone's doing it because you have a chance to make money, then it's like everyone wants to jump on it. So I understand from like a company and product perspective. I just don't really understand it as like a customer perspective. Like
you have to think about it.
You know what I mean?
How many people in this world, they play games, and how many hours at a time can people play? Like, some people play for a lot of hours. Like, it's easy to sit there and then be 5-6 hours into a video game. So what's the difference when you go into the meta world where you're actually immersed completely in it? I mean, I see this happening.
No, but that also means that you have to convert and become someone to be in the metaverse for that long. But you haven't even played video games for how long?
Oh, me?
Like, yeah, you, yeah.
Oh, yeah. What I'm saying is, I can see like the masses, like this, like the masses are going to accept this just because I've seen how people are. And it's just like Instagram and filters, right?
Yeah,
like, if you're able to go into the metaverse and change your look and your appearance without having to do much except buy, a skin or something like that, people are going to do it. That's why people fall for the lose 30 pounds with this pill. Mm-hmm. Like, they want convenience. They don't want to.
I see what
you
you're
get
saying.
What I'm saying? So even if I don't agree with it, I know this is going to be the future because I know a lot of people want this.
My idea of the metaverse is literally like an avatar and not real life. Like, if you're talking about like very much Matrix, like if you're saying in the metaverse you look like the best version of yourself all the time without working out, or
without doing the work,
you can just wear the nicest suit. Yeah, it's weird, but I mean, we're literally scary. Losing more and more human interactions, and it's like, well, what about the travel industry? Because then, in essence, you don't need to travel, or in essence, you don't need to go eat. So yes, it's exciting at a certain point, but it's literally changing the entire world.
I mean, it's like one of those things, is like you can use it for evil or good, and there's definitely a lot of ways that it could be very bad. I think people are going to start to neglect their actual self and then be more focused in the this new world, because people already do it. I mean, like the gaming is increasing. The gaming industry is growing exponentially, especially during the pandemic because people are at home. I mean, that's just literally the next step, but as much as
let's talk big picture, right? If we're saying like the metaverse is where we're going to be, say, I don't know, 24/7, how we spend our time. So, that means we don't have to travel. We don't have to fly. We don't have to go to restaurants. We don't have to buy clothes. Like, we're essentially saying all these things are online and digital, like in like the Sims life, essentially.
Sims
more
like,
realistic.
More realistic, right?
So that's really, you're saying like it's going to be like this world where all these industries don't really need to exist.
Only in the digital world.
It's hard to imagine, but
I mean, and at the end of the day, what drives what drives a lot of decisions, right? I mean, everything is really monetary based. So for these companies, even if they don't believe in it, they know the eyes are there. I mean, some of these streams some of these like video game competitions or esports things, they get more views than like NFL, NBA. True. So if your customer base is there and it's global, because you can log in anytime, it's not based off of a geolocation. You can literally be in bed, log in, and now you're where everyone's at. And unfortunately, because the eyes are there, that's where the businesses, the brands go towards, because that's where you make money. So it's like an unstoppable thing that's going to happen that is it's inevitable, basically. You know what I mean?
I see it.
That's why it's crazy. I mean, that's why, like, literally Justin Bieber, he was performing, right? He had a live concert. Guess what? It was in the metaverse. He was an avatar singing, and people attended this concert that Justin Bieber was performing. And guess what? You don't have to travel anywhere to get there. You just log in, and now you get to see Justin Bieber. And they also had like like they have those festivals where thousands of people come to. They had one in the virtual world where they had 50,000 attendees walking around this Adventureland online, watching these performers. Like, isn't that crazy? Like, obviously, I don't understand the full grasp of it, but I have an idea like how crazy that's going to be, how enticing that's going to be. I understand
that. Yeah, I understand that from like the early stage as an entertainment standpoint, because a lot of this is entertainment based. So I think that's where the translation into owning something like a piece of land on there is going to translate later on.
No, I think it's down the road, but these guys are preparing. If people start living in that world, now they have land. It means at the end of the day, it's like a flex, right? I think Gary Vee said it the most.
It's all about flex.
He basically said, like, if you ever just think of the blue check, verified check, it's not a physical thing that you can touch, but you know what it means. It has value, right? So that's almost like the metaverse. It's this thing that you can't really touch, but you understand there's value behind it, and that's what we're going to start to see. Which is, I don't know, man. It's just a topic that is so crazy. I feel like I would have this conversation at a barbershop, you know. And they even talk about like having jobs in the metaverse where you're doing a job in there and you get paid. So imagine you're not getting paid in real life. You're actually getting paid in this digital world for doing this job in there. I don't know what kind of job it would be, but imagine that. How sick is that?
Yeah, I guess. There's still, real life things that humans need. But yeah,
of course,
if you want to be hooked up in there for most of your time, that's still, we'll see. This is the very beginning stage of it. Who knows? Maybe we'll do a podcast episode in the metaverse one day. That's
what I'm saying. Like, we could literally host a podcast in the future where we're on the stage and then our guests are just watching from their avatars. Right. Like, it's the same as like when you have work and then you guys are all logging into a conference and then watching each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just convenience, right? Everything is driven by convenience, and if we're able to not have to commute, not have to dress up, people are going to do it. And I really think that's like the next version of social media. Like, that's where it's going to go next. I don't know. That's just what I predict, but it's really interesting how that all works.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. just seeing how it's going to be applied and used, and like what people actually like and not like, and then supply and demand, like what you said about the blue check. Yeah, like, is valuable, but up to a certain point. And I think like some of these things is like someone buying the land. It's like, well, these crazy rich people have so much money that it means nothing to them.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have so much money that what's a little investment in buying virtual land for 1 million when you have so many millions or billions, right? Like, at that point, it's like, sure, I'll give you $1 like for this thing. It doesn't mean anything to them, so the rich can play around and see how it goes. But we'll see. I don't know. It's interesting for sure.
I mean, technologies is like crazy. Have you seen some of the deep, like, I forgot what they're called, but there's like a Tom Cruise floating around, like the deep. What is it?
The deep fake.
The deep fake. Oh my god! Like, how the hell are they doing? There's
scary. One with Elon Musk too.
Yeah, but he was speaking like Chinese, I think, or Mandarin or whatever, or like something. Like, where is that going to go, man? That's crazy, right?
That's like the kind of manipulation thing.
Yeah, and you can create like the deep fake, and then like say a message, and then a lot of people, information travels so quickly that before they can even validate it and find if it's a real it's a real video, people are going to just latch on to that information.
Already assume.
It's already like fake news. Fake news travels quick. Imagine that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's scary, crazy. Right? Yeah, it is. That's definitely weird. But imagine if you can go on Metaverse and you can buy the skin of like Elon Musk.
And walk around.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely interesting. So,
do you think think overall good or bad?
I think overall bad.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's necessary. Like, we have problems with cancer and poverty and world hunger and, all these things. And we want to create a metaverse. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're investing our expertise, our time, our energy, our research, our money into something else that essentially is to make money.
Yep.
Right? Like that's all it is to make
Yeah.
money. It's and it's like, and like what I'm mentioning, if people are just hooked up in there, well, what's the real life? That means, are they just sitting at home? Like, are they like don't take care of themselves? Like, I think that's very unhealthy. So I just don't think it's necessary. It's not like time travel, right? It's not like teleportation.
Yeah.
If someone invents teleportation, I'm like, yo, that's dope. Like, we can travel the world in a second. That, I think that's more interesting to me than Metaverse.
Yeah. I think it just really plays into like the society of like consuming entertainment, like, you know,
yeah,
like just enjoying just like, you know, too much of it.
But it's also kind of like, oh, just because Facebook says it's cool and what's the future, does that really have to be the future? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they think it's cool, they think it's helpful, but like, I don't think so at this point. So, you know, that's kind of scary too. You let a corporation like Facebook or Microsoft, Google, and be like, this is what's next, and everyone needs to do it.
Yeah,
and it's like,
decide,
you know, that's a little scary.
The direction of pop culture, basically.
So we're gonna have Terminator. Okay, I get it. All right, fine.
Damn, first barbershop talk in this format. It's getting dark, getting crazy. Shit. But I mean, yeah, I think it's interesting to talk about and you know, one day revisit this episode and be like, oh, everything we talked about that actually happened. We're here now in the metaverse having a live podcast with people watching us live. Yeah, shaking their hands or whatever. I don't know. Who knows, man?
I don't know.
I think with anything, it's really comes down to how you use it. You know, everything can have a bad side to it, but it just depends on what you decide to do with it. Yeah, something to think about. I mean, I would love to invite a guest on that's more knowledgeable in it. Just explain a bit more.
Yeah,
like what are some like what is the potential? Where are we at right now with the technology? How far has it come that we don't know about? Maybe they have like really good augmented, you know, reality, you know, tools or whatever that they have that we don't know about. That's so that it's pushing this forward even faster than we think.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much wraps up today's Barbershop Talk. 3 new topics. So that's something that I want to introduce for season 3. Just current trends that seem interesting that, you know, we just want to dive into, talk a little bit more, especially for those that like hear about these topics but don't really have these conversations. So I like to introduce it, but hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Do me a favor, guys. If you guys been listening to Asian Menswear for a long time, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to join the Discord group. We also have a YouTube channel where I post the clips from the podcast episodes. Check that out as well. And thank you guys for listening in. Leo, you got anything else to say before we end this conversation?
No, man, that was really good conversations about these kind of topics. So I'm glad we're talking about these things.
Yeah. So moving forward, we'll have 3 and we'll knock them out just to get our our candid, you know, on the spot thoughts on it. But yeah, other than that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. We will speak to you guys on the next one. All right. Peace.